registrar's office. I created a little handout for you so you can reference it when I'm not here. I'm going to talk about your credits transferring back to Fort Lewis and how we can make sure that they come back like we think they should before you get back, so there's no confusion. So it takes quite a bit of work throughout this process, so you're going to have to be patient with me. I'm the only one in the registrar's office that does these, so you just have to keep in mind that I have all of you, plus the people that are currently abroad, people that are also transferring credits back from other institutions, that type of thing. So bear with me. I try to be as timely and on top of it as I can, but always feel free. I forgot business cards, but my name is Allison Flores, so you can always look me up on the registrar's website and shoot me an email. All right, so there's a couple things you're going to want to do prior to studying abroad. The first one is going to be to run a degree audit and figure out what classes you still need for your major or your minor, your free electives, that type of thing. I would definitely, if you're really trying to get classes that are going to count for specific requirements, definitely meet with your advisor, figure out what you need, and then you'll do the inquiry form that I'm going to show you in a minute to make sure it will come back like you need it to. All right, next you're going to go through, most of you, or a lot of you are USAC, other ones are different programs. You're going to go through their websites, look up classes. It sounds like most of you have done that part. Then the next thing to do, and we're just starting working on this, so it's not 100% complete, but as students have taken classes within the last 6 to 10 months, we've started recording that and how they'll come back. So what you would do, and if you want to do this for your school while we do it, you can go ahead and log in. Just go to fortlewis.edu, go to the registrar's office. So if you go to the A to Z directory at the top of any fortlewis.edu, go to our registrar. All right. Then if you click on transfer credits, the green box there, you'll see international college/university. You'll be able to pick on that one. Then you should be able to find your study a possible school. If it's not on this list, that means no one's ever transferred back recently from there. Okay? If it is on here, I think I heard someone say Massey, right? Someone say they're going to Massey? Yeah, cool. So if you were to click on that one, all right, these are how classes transferred back. One thing you'll notice is we have very limited characters we can put in here, so they might not match exactly, but you should be able to tell sort of by the name if you find Magic Witchcraft and you really want to take it, it should tell you how many credits. Okay, so this can be super helpful in getting you started. If you want to double check it, by all means you can do the next step, but these should be pretty much accurate. If you're like, oh, the one I want is social and behavioral psychology. You're like, well, that doesn't quite match. Definitely send in an inquiry so we're all on the same page, okay? But this is a good place to start. Unfortunately for you guys, you'll be helping contribute to this, but it won't help you later on. When your guys' credits come back, we're going to put it in this database so future students can see it. So you'll be helping me, so I appreciate it, but we'll make sure we get you through it as well. All right, on your thing here, you'll see a link, how to submit an inquiry. You will have to do this for each and every class that you're going to bring back. Do not take a professor's word. I mean, you can go talk to your professors, that's fine. But until this inquiry is done, there's nothing official from the school as to how it will come back. All right? Officially, it has to go through this inquiry process or be on this chart. Does that make sense? All right. Currently, you can't get to the link unless you have it. So if you were to just type it in, you can go ahead and do that now. I know it's kind of annoying to have to type it in. Eventually, it will be right here if you're on the registrar site under forms, under transfer inquiry. Right now there's one for liberal arts core, one for general. We're creating one for study abroad so that you guys have more access to it and can submit them without having to have the link in front of you. All right. Once you type in that link, which I must have lost it. Okay. Sorry, I lost mine. Okay, there it is. Alright, it will make you log in if you're not already logged into CAS, and it will put in your name. It might self-populate your ID number, it might not, so you would have to put that in. Okay, you'll have to put that in. Alright, next are your major, minor. Make sure you put this in and make sure it's accurate. I'm going to give you a little background on what I do when I get this form. The first thing I do is I run an audit because I want to see how the class could best help you. That's why this takes me so long, is because I don't just say, oh, they want it to come back as this, let's do it. I really try to make sure it comes back as we're talking the same language. You said you want it to count for your minor. I see you need something for your minor. And then I can talk to the department. Okay? So really make sure your major and your minor are accurate. Next is your host institution for study abroad. That would be the school where you're going to be. Does that make sense? Next is the program name. Please there put if you're going to be through the provider. Okay? So if that's going to be USAC, it sounds like is probably the most common one for you guys this semester. If it's a sister school, put that down so that I know what I'm working with. What I end up doing, luckily for USAC, it's the easiest. The other schools, I have to go and I have to find the course description. So later on down here, you're going to copy and paste the course description. I would say 8 out of 10 times that link actually works that you guys put in there. A lot of times it doesn't, so the more accurate your information is here, the less time I have to spend looking through a catalog in a foreign language trying to find what you guys found. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes?
So I just had a question on if
Yep.
you have 2 minors, should I just put like the one that I'm hoping I'm going for?
Put that up at top, and then at the bottom there's an extra field. Go ahead and put that at the bottom. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'll show you where. Okay, great question. Any other questions so far?
We do this for each class.
For each class. All right. Next, you're going to put the name of the subject and the course number. Kind of the equivalent to like our math 1, 2, 3. All right. Put as much there as you think it'll take me to be able to find it if I'm looking at the course description. Does that make sense? Next, you're going to put the title, and then course description here, copy and paste what you found for me. All right, pretty simple. And then same here for the link, copy and paste the link. This is another huge part. I know it says it's highly recommended. Oh, sorry, that's the syllabus part. If you can find a syllabus and you want to send it with it, I don't believe there's a place. You can usually put the link in. That's what most students have done. Or you could, I'm going to write my email. Sorry, guys, I really should have brought cards. You can send the course syllabus directly to me. So I'm Flores_A@fortlewis.edu. And if you find a syllabus, you're more than welcome to send it directly to me. If you can't find one, don't worry about it. If I end up getting stuck in the evaluation process, I might reach out to you and say, okay, now I really need it. But for the most part, if it's a pretty easy, good description, and it matches pretty closely to what we have here, I don't usually need them, but if you have them, feel free to email them to me. Yes?
So if you've gotten the classes approved through the, so not through you guys, but through your department, and then through you, because they like don't quite match up, should we like let you know that that's already been approved by them?
Yep.
And then so you can approve them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you'll still do the inquiry?
Yeah.
What you would do in that case, do you see how it says, please explain how this course will apply to your degree requirements? If you've talked to the department, or you have a second minor, that's where I would put that information, is right down here. All right? I have a second minor, and I want this class to count towards it. I have a second major, and I want this class to count towards it. The more description you can give me here, the better. You'll also see these options. Does everyone know what a major, minor, free elective credit would be? Is that a yes, we think? Okay. This is also super helpful. If you check free elective here, I'm going to assume you just want me to make sure it's going to come back to Fort Lewis. You don't care how it comes back, what it comes back is, you just want some credit. All right? That part, I will, if you mark free elective, I just look at it and I don't submit it to a department because I don't need department approval. If you want it to come back as a specific class for something, definitely check here what you want it to come back for. Either liberal arts core, for your major, or for your minor. All right? Under major and minors, you'll see core courses for the major. That means they're the ones that, like if you're SOBA, it'll say on your audit, why it's a good idea to run an audit first. It'll say things like SOBA core requirements at the top, and then it'll list them. And then it'll say SOBA auxiliary requirements, and then it'll list what you need there. If you can't figure it out, the best option is just to put that it's a core class, because that makes me know they really want it to count for their major. Like I said, I go back and I run yet another audit to try and make sure we're talking about the same thing. But the more information you can give me on this and the more accurate, the more quickly you will get a response. Does that make sense? All right, and then down here, if you want to give me information like, I'm a business major, I want this to count as Marketing 350. If you want to write, please count as Marketing 350 here, that would be wonderful. Because then I can email the department and say they're wanting it to come back as this. They say yes, no. If they say no, I usually say, well, what can it come back as? That sort of thing. Okay? Any questions on this form? Okay. Like it says on here, be sure to include how you want them to come back. So I don't want to get into too much jargon about language that I use in my office, but what we're trying to do for the most part is usually match what we call equivalencies. So Class A at this school is coming back to Fort Lewis as Class CF. That's the one we offer. All right? If you're not worried about how it's coming back, usually if it's a free elective, it's just going to, I'm not worried about the equivalency, I'm more worried about will the credits come back. Okay? USAC schools, I'm usually pretty confident in telling you the number of credits you'll get ahead of time. If you're doing a sister school exchange or one that's not through one of the big providers, that's a lot more difficult for me to figure out the number of credits. And sometimes I even have to wait till the transcript comes back to Fort Lewis. So in those cases, I'll let you know the equivalency's there. So in your degree audit, the class will count as Bio 233. It will count as Marketing 350. However, I can't tell you the number of credits. Does that make sense? So if you're really focused on credits, like you have to have 15 for a scholarship or something like that, always reply to my email and say, I need to know this about this, and I'll let you know if it's something I can figure out or not. Does that make sense? But read the email very carefully, because usually I just say, these classes will come back as these equivalencies. All right? Yes?
So if all your classes are 4 credit abroad, will they most likely be transferred as 3 credit? Is like most of the time equivalent?
It's just really hard to tell. It has to do with the number of hours you're in the classroom.
Okay.
If it's 4 credits there and it's the same number of hours as a 4 credit class here, and it's a 3 credit class, I'll still give you the 4 credits. Does that make sense? So there's a conversion rate for a lot of schools. Some we've found, some I haven't found, some I've spent days looking for and never found. But there are conversion rates out there that we kind of use. That's why USAC and those other providers, they have those conversion rates pretty easy for me to find, so I can give you some more information. The one thing, and even with USAC it can be a little touchy, upper versus lower division. I usually cannot guarantee that something will be upper division. And by that I mean 300 or 400 level. However, if you need Marketing 350 to graduate, and I've told you the class will come back as Marketing 350, the equivalency is there. Does that make sense? Like you will get that checkbox by that requirement. I just can't guarantee that you'll get upper division credit for your 36 upper division credits that are required for graduation. That is super confusing. Did I lose anyone? Do you want me to try to explain it again? Okay. So just keep in mind, I can't guarantee the level of the course, but I can guarantee checking off something that's required. So that Marketing 350 class, if I tell you it's coming in as Marketing 350, you're going to get Marketing 350 credit. If it's a 300 level or 200 level, that part we usually don't know right away. Does that make sense? Okay. Send inquiries as soon as you make changes to your schedule. So I know this happens a lot. You go to register and they're like, nope, we're not going to let you take that. And you're like, man. So just send me another one as soon as I get them all year round. Keep the link handy. That's why I'm hoping to make it on the website, is so that when you're studying abroad, if you get there and they're like, I had a student last year who got into a class and he's like, it was all law school students, so I dropped it. So immediately he sent me what he was going to take instead, and I started researching that class. So let us know as those things happen, and so we can let you know. Definitely be sure to talk to financial aid about how many credits you need while you're studying abroad. And departments, just keep trying to ask questions so that you're all prepared when we transfer the credits back. Okay? While you're studying abroad, the two things I like is that if you let me know any additional changes, submit inquiries, and then keep record of all your syllabi. I know that Yuriko probably tells you that as well. But anytime you get a syllabus, even if it's a hard copy, I know you have a limited price suitcase room, but those are going to be important. If something happens and we don't bring it back like we thought we were going to, I could need the syllabus. Okay? So it's just really important on that. Yes?
So I've heard like some credits just like don't transfer at all. So say you like totally messed up your transfer credit and you're done with the program. I know some schools, if you're done with the program, there's no way of getting those credits back. You have to do it before.
No.
So here we can kind of do it.
I will work with you as much as I can within the power I have.
Okay.
My goal is that everyone has some sort of answers before you guys leave, so you're not over there. Things that are really hard are going to be, Yuriko and I were talking about it, some of the cooking classes, some of the culture classes, depending on how many credits and that type of thing. Surfing actually is usually okay because I bring it back as a 1 credit PE, not always, so make sure you submit an inquiry for that. I just want to give you guys as much information before you go so that you're not surprised when you come back. Okay? And I know it's a lot of information, it can be overwhelming, so like I said, email me or send in an inquiry and I'll be more than happy to look things up for you guys. Any other questions? Alright, and if you guys want to stop by my office, if it's easier to talk through, I'm in the registrar's office in Miller Hall, Miller Student Services Building, whatever you want to call it. Feel free to stop by and say, I submitted this inquiry, I put minor, but I actually wanted to count for my major, that sort of thing. And then if I send you an email and it doesn't make sense, please reply. And be like, no, I didn't want that class. And we'll see what we can do. The departments are usually pretty good. Most of you guys have usually talked to someone in the department before you've done this. So when I email them, they're not usually like, I have no idea who the student is or what's going on. It seems like most of you guys have talked to them. This is just a way to make sure everything stays official and that you're not surprised when you come back. The other part you'll notice at the end here is that you have to please confirm this information. And it states, I am aware that I must order a WES. Have you guys talked at all about it, Yuriko?
Not yet.
Okay. So WES is a transcript evaluation service, and they evaluate your courses course by course, do the translation if there needs to be a translation, they do the conversion rate if there needs to be a conversion rate. They actually usually can tell us if it's upper or lower division based on the school. If you're going to USAC, you won't have to do a WES. Okay? Semester at C, because you're going through another US university, you won't have to because we're going to get a transcript, it sounds like, from that school. All right? Sister schools, I'm pretty confident you're going to have to do a WES. They are fairly expensive, just so you're aware. And you're doing the course-by-course evaluation. I had to watch a YouTube video to figure it out, but there is one out there when you go to order your WES once you're done with stuff. You can check with our office before to make sure we truly need it. I feel pretty confident saying anyone that's doing a sister school, we're going to need it. Anyone that's doing something that's not USAC, there's a good chance we're going to need it, but not guaranteed. So you can check with me one by one. We're still working on a more defined policy. That's part of the reason I can't give a lot of answers right now. We're trying to make it as easy as possible, but we also have to make sure the information we're getting is translated correctly, and we're not assuming anything. So I'd love to say no one has to do it, but I can't. So if you have questions about it, we'll work together and we'll figure it out. And again, it is kind of a complicated process and it can take a while, so we want to make sure we do it right the first time so your credits come back. Is anyone doing this during their last semester at Fort Lewis? Thank you. Is anyone really nervous about like, if this class doesn't come back as this, it'll mess up my senior year? Okay, those, make sure you're checking your emails and getting these into me early so we can get this stuff figured out as soon as possible. I know for classes that are sequential, that's where it can really be important, is if your major's sequential. If you're taking mostly free electives, that would be ideal. The more you can take as free electives, the better, because then I just have to make sure it's coming back. If you want to put a note in there like free elective, all of mine are free electives, but I need 15 credits or something like that, I'll see what I can look into. But like I said, my emails are usually pretty clear. And then it's just the more information you can give me on this form, the easier it is for me to get you guys the right information more quickly. All right, I can tell you that, let's see, you guys are they're all going in the spring, right? In the spring, that first week in January, second week in January, I am swamped because I do all the inquiries for all transfers. So I get swamped at times. So if you can get it to me before the end of this semester, it's great. And then if you only have one or two that change while you're there, that's a little easier. If it is time sensitive, please put that in that little information box like, I have to register for this tomorrow, okay? And I'll do my best. I can't guarantee it, but I'll do my best to get you guys information. All right, anything else? All right, guys, thank you.